of Triathlon Thrive Talks with Kara and myself, Zach Hunsinger. In today's episode, we're diving deep into one of the most iconic events in the world of endurance sports, the Ironman World Championship. This legendary race isn't just about the grit and determination of the athletes, it's all about the certain backdrop. What makes it so unique, taking you on a journey to experience the heart-pounding twist. I'll be sharing a personal story about my own experience at the Ironman World Championship, including a memorable crash that added an unexpected component to my race day. Carrie and I will dissect the challenges, emotions, and lessons learned from this incident, offering valuable insights for both seasoned athletes and newcomers to the triathlon world. Of course, we'll discuss the burning question: what's next for me after my crash as I recover and set my sights on the future races and goals? We'll explore the strategies, training, and mindset required to come back stronger than ever. So whether you're a triathlon fanatic, a fitness enthusiast, or just curious about the world of endurance sports, sit back and relax and get ready to immerse yourself in the world of triathlons. Let's dive in. All right, Carrie, what do you think? Did I pass the introduction?
It was good. I liked it. There were a little less superfluous adjectives in this round, but
Yeah, I started cutting those out. Thanks for noticing. Thank you. It's like all artists like to be appreciated for their craft, so I did tweak it. All right, and I noticed you changed your name today. You're now the lead janitor at Zipper.
lead janitor. Yep.
Where did you come up with that, and why?
It's just a stupid joke that me and some of my buddies always seem to put into our titles. Because like CTO is just a little too serious, Like, yeah, that's what I do, but lead janitor is much more amusing to me. So nothing against the manager of the custodial arts. No critiques.
Well, I thought you stole that from Mike Weiss at Big Shark. That's what his title is as well.
Oh.
Right?
No, he's just also very, very funny. So, he and I are just both really funny people. So,
he's
a good guy. Like,
where I am, I'm allowed to be drinking right now. So, it's a rosé that the host put in the refrigerator for Meg and myself. And it is, not that it matters since I'm on vacation, but it's like 7:30 here. So, prost, salut, cheers to everybody in the grind. That's cool that like the virtual background's like showing through the. That's pretty cool. Well, cheers to your water.
Homemade sports drink that I made for the first time.
Does it have your yeast in it?
It does not. It does not. It is lemon juice and sugar, basically. So nothing interesting.
Oh God, my kids make They have one of those sparkling water mixes or things. I don't remember what it's called. Soda stream.
Like soda machines. Yeah.
And they keep putting honey in the sparkling water, and I think that is like the grossest thing to me. But they seem to love it. So, anyways, then they put lemon in it too. So they're doing the same thing you are. All right. Well, we bantered for too long. We lost all of our based off of that. They log in and they see what's going on, and then I take us off course. So I think I probably told you that it's a favorite game for my interns. They always see how off course they can get me during our meetings. All right, so let's talk about the locale before we kind of get into the crash and what's next for me in the race itself. So, I think the big question was always, what's the difference between Kona and France? How's that going to be? So I don't know. Have you read anything about people, opining on whether they preferred Nice to Kona?
I listened to the pros talking about it more so than any age groupers. And that was pretty interesting. They were talking about the differences between Kona being a very lonely course and how drastically different that was out in Nice, and just how everywhere you go, there's a billion people screaming at you. And they
even on the bike, they said even on the bike, there's people screaming at them.
And maybe it was more about the run in that case, but they talked about it overall. So I assumed it was more overall. But as I saw on the full gas course, some of those hills were out in the middle of nowhere. So I don't know how you get some people out cheering there. But
yeah, you don't. If you do, like, if you're going to cheer on those hills, that's the only part you're going to see of the. You're not going to get anywhere else. I mean, the roads were blocked out. Like you couldn't. You had to get there in advance. I guess is my point, and you weren't going to get off of them for a while. So that was unique. I mean, I did see some people like you go through like these little villages and stuff, and so there's people there, but that was about it.
I saw
Yeah, so
one of the parts of the course you like go through an alleyway. It seemed of like a town. Was that for real, or is that just they're driving off course?
it felt like a way, but that's just a road. So that's how wide the roads are. Yeah, you
I'm just
definitely like
very uncultured, so
more than once we went through what looked like you would conceive as a alley, but it was like meant for driving. There are doors. There are like little tiny, little tiny. I mean, bigger than that, but like body width sidewalks on each side, um, and some cobble. Yeah, it was. You definitely think you were going through an alley if you didn't know better. So you did full gas. I stopped at the full gas tent at the Ironman Village, and I just like lauded how much I love full gas. I don't race on anything else. I love it. And the guy drinking his little shot of espresso with an English accent was talking to me, and I was like, "Oh, do you have any recommendations or any improved or whatever?" And I totally blanked because I know there are a lot that would make it better. Like I keep thinking that every time I'm on it, that gosh, if it was whatever, then it would be far superior than everything. I mean, what I think it's superior at is it has the met like it's accurate as far as like timing. Like if what I ride on full gas is what I ride on the road, like for power and speed. But you have
not for
suggestions
me.
for how to make it better.
It had me doing climbs at like 170 watts, going 21 miles an hour. And I was
Holy
like,
crap!
if I can climb at 21 miles an hour at 170 watts, I would be winning Nice on the bike alone. That's just not
Yeah,
that's not real. Uh, but I've not dialed it in nearly as much as you have. So I would say that's the biggest thing for me is it seems like it needs a lot of dialing in to
it
get it where it needs
definitely.
to be.
I should have said that. It definitely has like a steep, not learning curve. Like you know how to do those things, but you
Yeah.
don't. But you have it because you're lazy. Uh,
Yeah. I just hop on my bike, man. That's what the trainer's there for.
it's man, I didn't take me that long to dial it in. But have you looked at the Zwift, like coming from Zwift page on Full Gas's website?
I did not. I didn't know that's a thing. I put
Yeah,
zero effort into this. So.
all right. Well, you do have to put some effort into it, so that's kind of an issue, and that's probably a lot of people. So I should have said that. I think sometimes the mechanics of the interface, the user interface, is pretty rough, and you
Yeah.
definitely I think need to download the courses in advance instead of
Yep.
streaming them. It seems to work a lot better. But yeah, thanks for taking the time to visit me virtually on the road course through an alleyway. That's wild. What else did
Yeah.
the pros say?
I mean, in general, they seem to like it a lot more. They talked about just the bike course is fairly interesting with the descent and the strategies they had to take for all of that versus uh, the challenges around Kona being very environmental of how do you manage your body baking from the inside out
Right.
for 9 hours. It's not quite the same problem in Nice. It wasn't cool in Nice, but it was just a different problem that they're facing. So those are kind of the main things, just crowd participation and just the difference in climate and all that.
Yeah. Anyone talk about the difference between just the city itself, like Kona versus Nice as a destination?
Not really. Magnus was talking about how he actually had some countrymen cheering not just for him, but in general, and how coming from Europe to Hawaii is a little bit of a trek. So I think
Oh
that the
yeah.
Europeans are a fan of the Nice course in that regard.
If I could share my screen, which we already tried and I cannot because this computer will die. Um, the triathlete magazine did an excellent job, I think, covering the statistics on. I mean, they always do, but because this was different from years past, it certainly stood out to me. And they had a part about. I showed this in the last episode that we talked, like how the qualifiers are not worse than any other years. Like actually, this year's median time was 20 or 30 minutes faster for each qualifier on average than years past. So like the athletes were faster. because they opened up the slots, it exposed the pool to more people around the world, noticeably in the
Mm.
oceanic area. So that I think is pretty wild that they were able, because they added on those extra slots, and because it was in Europe, more of a central location, if you will, for the world. There were just so many more people from around the world present, and this is my world championship, so I have no idea like what that to compare that to, but I will say it felt very diverse based off of everyone you saw. There were multiple languages, multiple people of different ethnicities walking around. It was definitely felt like a world championship.
Yeah, so that's one thing to me that it almost seems more fair to be doing, splitting it up
Mm-hmm.
between a Kona and a Nice, because you know traveling to Hawaii sucks for virtually everybody, but
Yes, even for
especially more
Americans.
so. Yeah, it's like a 14-hour flight or something for me, and I'm in the States. And so I can only imagine how painful it must be for Europeans, and where the sport is actually, fair, a lot more well regarded versus,
Mm-hmm.
the States. So I don't know.
Well, I like Nice. I mean, I, again, haven't done Kona, so I have no idea what to compare it to. But I read that someone was unhappy. Some people were saying like, in Kona, like the town is the race. Like that is it. There's nothing else going on, and that they liked it. And in contrast, like you walk 2 blocks away, the Nice looked like it was hosting a World Cup rugby match as well. So like it's a city that can handle two world class sports at the same exact time. You walk 2 blocks away, and nothing's going on. This happening. So I like to use the restaurant store. It's certainly able to see how different that is. The beach, there's probably no. I guess maybe there is a more distinct comparison in opposition from a Hawaii beach to a Mediterranean Sea beach, but you know, I will say that this beach has been better than any Hawaii beach I've been on. If only for the rocks, it would sound strange because there's no sand. It's literal rocks, like pebbles everywhere. And I think that's awesome because you don't have to worry about sand getting in anything.
Yeah. So that's a great segue into, let's talk about your race now.
All
Starting
right.
with the swim, how did the water taste? And did you figure out your sand and the uncomfortable areas problem that you weren't sure about?
That is a good segue, man. We didn't even play that. We should start
Nailed
writing
it.
scripts. Yep. Um, so it was not a wetsuit legal swim.
Right.
So I didn't have to worry about my wetsuit chafing me, which I guess was good. It did mean I had a slightly slower swim, but mostly the same as any other swim as I've had in my previous races. So I guess we'll get to the crash and what's next. But you're right. Let's tackle the race itself and the swim. It tasted fine. I mean, you could smell fish from time to time, and it definitely tasted like salt water. And I never swallowed any of it that I remember.
That's good.
So I took your advice. I did smell. They had like jet skis or motorboats, so it's weird. I don't know if you've noticed this. Have you? Like, I feel like my sense of smell is heightened while swimming. And I pick up the strangest odors, like some the fuel exhaust, rotting fish. Like, I just feel like I don't know if my senses are heightened or what. Have you had that experience?
No, but I remember doing the swim up in Wisconsin, and the oil felt very pungent, and I was not really a fan of that. But besides that, I haven't really noticed anything. But I'm typically
Huh.
swimming in lakes and where there's not really a whole lot going on. So, and I have a
Well,
terrible sense of
I
smell.
still. All right. Well, I still smell it in lakes too, but yeah, I don't know why it is. It's pools, lakes, the ocean, sea now. Yeah, the saltwater is awesome, but it was easily the most beautiful swim of any of my races. I mean, hands down. There's no way you can compete with it. It felt like I was snorkeling during the swim. I was happy. I was having fun. It was like a I don't know like a holiday, like when I was in Zanzibar once snorkeling, and it was ideal. You could see. I mean, there was no fish or anything to see, but you could see blue. What was really cool perspective, though, is I could see the person on my right and the person on my left, even if they were like 5 feet, 10 feet, 20 feet away. Usually when you're swimming, you can barely see your hand. Like that's about as far
That's
as you go.
amazing.
So it helped me in sighting. I didn't have to look up as much to see where the buoys were because I assumed, for better or worse, if I'm in the middle of two people and one's going the other way, then I need to figure out what's going on. But otherwise, I'm just
Yeah.
keep my hand and keep moving. That was fun. It was also a mass start. Have you done a mass start before?
One, but it was Great Illini, and there's I think 50 people there, and so the mass start wasn't really that
Was that
mass.
last?
Yeah, it was. They killed it this summer, so it was because of low
I know.
attendance.
I
Because the
signed up
previous
for
year
it.
there was basically no one there.
Oh, God, that was a good
So
race. I'm sorry that they canceled that. Did you like it?
I had
No,
heart
he
problems
says
on the
no,
bike.
and that's why I died.
So
I'm sorry.
I was
What'd you
so
say?
I was crushing the bike course, and I was like so thrilled. And then I had the heart arrhythmia, and then I spent 2 hours at
Yeah,
like 190 beats per minute,
yeah.
and so it kind of messed my day up a little bit. But the course itself, the run wasn't great. But we're not talking about Great Illini. We're talking about Kona. We're gonna
We're not talking
derail.
about Kona either. We're talking about Nice, but
Yeah,
I know I
talking
get your point.
about
I
world
mean,
champs.
we're all right. Thanks. So it's my first mass start, and that was terrible. I definitely prefer. Like at first, I was excited about. It. I was like, all right, great. I'm gonna know like basically we were the first wave. My age group was like the fastest group, and so it went pros. Physically challenged BC, is that like literally what they call that group? I
I'm not
feel like
sure.
that's wrong, but
Yeah, I'm scared to offer a suggestion and also
I
be
know
wrong.
you
So
don't
I'm
want
just
to be
saying.
wrong in this day and age. All right, so uh, that group, and then my age group. So we were like the first of
Challenge
the age
athletes. That's
groupers.
what it is.
Challenge athletes. All right, thank you. And so we were definitely the fastest, and I was the idiot. I shouldn't have gone. Like I tried to pick like the fastest spot to be in. I should just let people go, but I went to where I thought would be the fastest, and I just got banged up. Like people were, I don't know, like if people literally are grabbing me and trying to pull me down, but that's what it felt like. And I don't like I've definitely ran into people swimming. I don't think I usually like whip my hand away as quickly as possible. Like I don't want to disturb them. But so the first 500 or more, it was sardines. You couldn't stretch your hand. I felt like I was just breaststroking most of the way. Um, but once it kind of spread out a little bit, then I mean, it never spread out. You're always bumping into someone, but when you could at least get your stride, that felt a lot better. So it was a cool swim. On the run, it was hot, with but no different than like how we train, the weather we train in. So it's
Yeah.
not. I felt prepared for that. I started out too fast, but not like super fast. And my heart rate was in the 170s, low 171, which is people are like, wait, that sounds high. But
There's nothing for
I
you.
could, yeah, I know I could hit 200 on one of the interviews when we were doing a run, and you were asking me. I think I had like a 185 holding a conversation. So 171 felt low, and my pace was good as for a marathon, 430, 445 per kilometer, and I was like, all right, that's fast. I wanted to hit 450, 445. Heartbeat's a little high, but I feel good, so let's just keep going and see where it ends up. Well, it ended up hitting the wall. That's what happened. About
Really?
yeah, 10K in, 15K. I was just like, I don't want to do this anymore, and uh, and also, I think it's probably like my pace was probably quicker than that because they had an aid stage, like a food and water station every 1.5 kilometers, and I was walking through those even when I was hitting 430, 445. So I was probably doing like a 415 realistically, but I stop and walk and get some stuff, and my stomach was really bugging me and it felt nauseous. And it turns out I think I was just drinking too much Gatorade and ended up eating watermelon and oranges, and that helped settle it down. I had a terrible moment when I went through. I guess it was terrible, but a bad AIDS where I was trying to get water, and I grabbed Red Bull, and I was like, "Ugh, that's not what I wanted." You don't find out until it's. And then I was like, "All right, next table I got to get water." Grab that, and it's cola. And I was like, "What is going on?" And then by that point, I passed it. So I was like, all right, well, let's see what happens and get through that. But then when the sun went below the buildings, then the temperature dropped, and I picked it right back up to my goal. So it ended up PRing on the marathon, and I honestly like
Yeah.
it. It was only because of both ends. The middle was terrible, but both ends were what I wanted. So, um, and I
Yeah,
felt like I fine.
I was watching the tracker, and like the swim is good, and like I was watching your bike. I'm like, okay, he's having a good day. And then the stats changed quite a bit. I'm like, okay, I wonder what happened. I guess he maybe blew up a little bit. And then he took off on the run. I'm like, but he's running perfectly fine. Like what?
Yeah.
I was reloading Strava every now and then. Like what the hell happened? Like
Well, you sound like my
so
wife then. Yeah. So let's talk about the crash, and then we'll talk
segue.
about how that will affect my
Two
career.
good segues. What the
I
hell
don't,
happened?
oh well, I don't know. If I knew, um, I'd have a better explanation. But so my wife too, she was watching the tracker, and it just like stopped, and she thought the app was broken because I stopped moving. And what's generally when you stop moving, something bad happened, and that's exactly what. Uh, on the back half of the race, around a kilometer, 128 or 125, 118. That's it. I'd already two first climbs, and we are going before the third and final big climb. It wasn't even like compared to the first two that big of a climb. So I had already made it through exactly what I wanted to make it through. I made it through. I was hitting the times. My goal was to hold 30, 32 kilometers an hour. I only missed that on one or two splits. I was holding my power zones, my heart rate. I was on pace to PR my best Ironman ever on a brutal course. So I was very pumped. And um, I mean, I was passing people on the hill. Like I don't pass people on the hill. I'm not used to being passed, period, on anything, on the bike or on the swim, and I definitely was getting passed. So that was like I kind of had to be like, okay, all right, I'm best of the best. You're gonna get passed, and that's okay. So I had to like mentally reset. But I was, climbing way like at the briefing, everyone kept asking like, what if we can't pass someone in 25 seconds? Are we going to get a drafting penalty and so on? And like I was passing people in 10 seconds. It was absurd how the difference in speed. Now, after the hill summit, they would come down, fly right by me. I worked so hard to pass them, and then they come flying down. And so we were on the descent, going over some turns. I'm not a good bike rider. I was very nervous, and first part I was not ever in my aero bars. I was in my handlebars, and finally though got comfortable enough with the turns. They were wide, and I could take them at 45, 50 kilometers an hour. Everybody else was aero. People were pedaling. I was not pedaling. People were trying to go faster, and they were in their aero, and everyone was like, doo, doo, doo. And it was cool. I mean, that's what you
I like
live
the
for.
sound, like the TIE fighter sounds there.
Yeah, if the we made wings look slow as we were zipping around. And then there was just this turn, and that was it. That was the end of the game. We came down, and there was already an ambulance there, and people was like saying, "Slow down, slow down." And I thought I was going slow, but apparently, looking back at my bike computer, is like 48 kilometers an hour or so. So it was like 28 miles per hour, I think it was, and uh, everything's blurry at this point. So my memory
Right.
is pretty rough. The guy at the pack and the guy in front, we were going left. He swerved, not swerved, but like just went right. He wasn't making the turn at a good angle. He wasn't making the left turn at a
Right.
good angle. He kind of started veering to the right, and that went into the person in front of me. So they both went to the right, and then I was out of my arrows. I was consciously trying to slow down. I think only because I was like already in that position did I not die, maybe, but hit the brakes, and like you start skidding, and most people who have never been on a motorcycle or bicycle, like when your car skids, not a big deal. You just kind of turn the wheel the other way, but you can't really do that on a bicycle, like because you're gonna go down.
Right.
And anyways, I had like half a second, smacked right into a tunnel cave wall. And
Ooh.
imagine if you're in a cave, that's the wall I hit. And two guys were behind me, and they too. And
Uh,
I was the only one to ride away from that. The three of the guys went back in stretchers. One guy could stand up, walk around, but he too left in an ambulance. Although I'm not sure if that's looking back on it because of an injury or just because his front rim was like this, like it was like this, and
oh
it had
man.
completely went sideways.
T-shaped.
And one of the bikes split in half. I think that's probably the first one. Like there was
Whoa.
two pieces of a bike held together by a chain, and um, it, uh, they just kept saying how lucky I was, and I don't know if those guys are okay. Um, so um, they almost I don't know what else really to say. I'm key, and that's all the medic kept telling me, and I was lucid throughout, if that's the right right word, but hit the wall, and then I just kind of like laid down and let them come over, and they I kept trying to sit up, like, no, you need to lay down. So all right. I knew like the quickest way to get out of this. Like at this point, I wasn't really aware of the damage, the carnage around me, and all I was thinking is like, is my bike okay? Can I keep going? So I was just kind of laying down, and I knew the quickest way to get out of this is walk away, and then they're probably gonna be mad. Hard off, they moved me over to the side, and then I got my bike, and my tire, not the tube, the tire split open. So even if it was flat, but even if I replaced the tube, it was not going to go anywhere. And
Shoot.
my bike seat, normally it's flat. It was like this. I could sit
Oh
on
my
the side of
gosh.
it, so that like my butt cheek,
And
and
how
I
many
couldn't.
miles was left in that? That was
I
70K left or
had
so?
60K approximately left. Yeah, so a third of the race still to go.
My
Lost
God.
all my water, all my nutrition. My water bottles were all broken. I couldn't hold any water. Um, my aero bars cracked, and my I could shift, but my shifters are loose and dangling, so it was not very easy to shift. But anyways, I they finally let me go after about 30 minutes. I rode on the flat rim down to bike maintenance, and this French guy. I don't know if he was affiliated with Ironman or not, or if I officially accepted outside assistance or not. But someone from Ironman called, and he went over and opened up a garage door, whipped out a gravel bike tire, and put it on my wheel. And I gave him the tube, and they pumped it up, and they said he didn't speak English, but he did say, "Now you finish. Now you finish." So I rode on, and
That's
was able
awesome.
to finish. Yeah, I mean, I considered like, do I need to pick up time? Like, do I make up for it? And I was like, nope, it's over. Like, I'm not. That's not and it, we that my hills and stuff. So I just scared about anything at that point. And I think you described it pretty well with the in the Grand Lion race. Like the course was beautiful. The course was great. Things you don't control can ruin that for you, and it's hard to keep that in perspective. I'm trying to, but it's disappointing not to have PR'd on the biggest stage.
Yeah. But damn, man, you made it out of the. So of your two Ironmans, those are probably the two most hellacious Ironman stories I know of anybody, and you got to experience both of them. So that's something to hang your hat on. Like I feel like most people with patience, without injuries, can pull off an Ironman, in some fashion. I would imagine a very, very small percentage of them could do either of the two Ironmans you pulled off. So kind of a incredible
I
feat.
Well, I mean, thank you, and I know you're trying to be kind and say that stuff. I'm not in a place to really hear it at this moment, and that same with my wife. Like, I don't know if I'll ever be in a place to hear that, and I think part of it like is I feel guilty and bad because a lot. I don't know if I said this before. I'll certainly say it now. Like, although it's me individually, it's certainly a team effort to, and then on me to get to that. People not get quicker, and I do feel bad. I feel like coach down, my wife down, let my kids down. All of that is really depressing and hard to keep in track. And then I keep seeing people insult to injury. It's a beautiful location to bike ride. By the way, the bike lanes are perfect. Even though one of the pros got hit by a car on the bike lane before the race
Didn't know
started
that.
while I was here. Yeah, that sucks. But it is a beautiful. Like I was gonna bike out to Monaco, which is like 15 or 20K away, and then bike back like right by the seaside. People are just like I was gonna do that today, and I can't because my bike's busted. So like even like part of my trip is ruined. So, um,
That's-
but thanks. So all right, I know we got to wrap this up here. We're at 30 minutes. No one wants to hear me complain for that long. So I guess as far as next steps, we'll just kind of say I have temp in Arizona in November. When I finished on Sunday, I said I'm done. It's not worth it. I'm never racing again. I'm not going to Arizona, and I think I've completely turned that around and talking about I'll beat this course, not it beat me because Nice won, Zach 0. So let's come back and tie it up. So well, I want to talk to coach and get through temp, and then kind of evaluate how things go from there. Because it's like I am in the fittest of my life. I felt completely fine during the race. The taper was perfect. The day after was fine. I mean, my shoulder is sore. That's the only thing I got injured too. Like my body like is whatever. Um, so we'll see. I don't want to lose that fitness. Put a lot of effort into it. How do we spend that next? So, anyways, I just want to I guess wrap up this episode and saying that the Ironman World Championship is more than just a race. It's a testament to the indomitable human spirit, pursuit of excellence, and the power of community. We hope that our discussion about this event has provided you with insights, inspiration, and a renewed passion for triathlons. I need to get a better way of like rewriting this on the fly because I don't feel like I've inspired a single person here. But please remember, setbacks and challenges are all part of the journey, and they don't define us. What matters is how we pick ourselves up, adapt, and keep moving forward. The Ironman World Championship. Resilience and determination are the keys to success in any endeavor. Before we sign off, don't forget to subscribe to stay updated on our upcoming episodes, interviews, and valuable insights from the world of triathlons. If you enjoyed today's discussion, please share it with your fellow triathletes and friends who share your passion. Thanks again for joining us, and until next time, keep chasing those finish lines, setting new goals, and embracing the incredible journey that is triathlon. Stay motivated, stay inspired, and always this is Aaron Ritter signing off, reminding you that the one against yourself. Keep on, and we'll see you at the finish line.